introduce some of the guests that are here. You've met John, Francis O'Neill's great-grandson. He rode on the bus with us, and he's going to chat a little bit about it. I'd like you to meet Frank Burke, right there, great friend of ours for many years, great fiddle player from Mayo originally, and lots of great stories and stuff. And then, of course, this man here. This is the man that came up with this tradition years and years ago, and he's very, very important to Irish music in North America, Irish music in the world, and a big hero of mine and people that grew up in Chicagoland in particular. The great thing about this generation of Irish musicians is they had a certain way of them. Everybody's always talking about the greatest generations and stuff, and they had the stories, and they had the lore, and the certainty, and the vulnerability, and the muscular music, and they had all that stuff, and they were very welcoming to not only, people from their own country and their own county, but Yanks like me as well. And so because of people like Kevin, in particular Kevin, is why we play and why there's an Irish music school in Chicago. So give it up for Kevin.
I got involved with Captain Francis O'Neill when I came to this town. Well, actually speaking, my brother had a book belonging to him when I was 11 years of age, 1001 tunes. And I got interested in the tunes, not for the simple reason that I was interested in my own language, the Gaelic language, and we hadn't a dictionary in the house. My brother played music, but I had the dictionary because O'Neill, when he wrote his music, he wrote it in Gaelic and in English, the titles. So it was the titles that I really got into in the Gaelic language, and my brother got into the music into it. But I couldn't. I haven't a note of music, but I have a lot altogether. Well, I came to this town in 1955, and I said to myself, well, this is where O'Neill lived. This is where he wrote all his music. And you have to give him honor where honor is due. He was a marvelous man. He was chief of police. He traveled the country. He left Ireland. He was shipwrecked and all, and he settled down here in Chicago in 1873. But he got married in Bloomington, Illinois, for the simple reason how I got to find out that I was reading one of his books, and he said that where Mrs. Rogers, how she came to Bloomington. And I was at a dedication some years ago of a bunch of Corkmen, 40 of them died of cholera. And they put up a plaque for him. And they asked me down to play at the plaque. So while I was down there, I asked the guy in the museum, could you tell me about O'Neill? Was he married here? And he said, I'll find out for you. But he started looking and he couldn't find out. The Catholic Church wouldn't give him permission for the simple reason that the Mormons of Utah has all our papers and they know everything about us. So I finally got it from him, and from that I met Mary Leash and I gave her a copy of his marriage certificate, and that's history. And in coming around to other things, I just found recently, reading a book from North Carolina about our music, where it was O'Neill that sent the first records back to Ireland in 1904. Otherwise, we couldn't hear our music. We only could hear to listen to people to play it. But O'Neill sent these tapes back to Ireland, and they're still back there in Cork University, and sent a few of them to Clare. And it took 60 years for them to make a record of our music back in Ireland. It was until the 1960s that we got aware of ourselves that we had this gift of playing music. New York, they put out records during the 20s, but it was O'Neill that really started it. And he taped all the old musicians that he gathered music from, Patsy Towey, the great Patsy Towey, great piper, and a lot more things. And he wrote the history of our music. And the strange thing about it, some years ago there was a man out here from Ireland interested in the Irish music, and I said, would you like to come out and meet this and see this man's mausoleum? And the answer he gave me, I haven't got time. So that was the saddest part of that I ever heard a man coming out trying to promote our music to tell me this. So ladies and gentlemen, that's past tense now. We're here, and our music is played all over the world, and his name is blasted on every CD and paper book and devil knows what, and his memory will live on forever. And there's only one Captain Francis O'Neill, and may the Lord have mercy on his soul. So I'd like to say a decade of the Rosary in his honour. Agus in the name and I had agus on big agus on Spurridge Knee for men. Shed of a hawera, ta launch the grassa, ta cheer na lat his spanny who or mara, agus his spanny toward the branisa. Never wahar ye, gear na packy inish, agus a rule all marsh on men. Shed of a hawera, ta launch the grassa, ta cheer na lat his spanny who or mara, agus is spanny toward the branisa. Ye were wahar ye, beer na packy inish, agus a rule on mosh, amen. Shed of a hawera, ta lines the grassa, ta cheer na lat, is spanny who or mara, agus is spanny toward the branisa. Ye were wahar ye, beer na packy inish, agus a rule on mosh, amen. Shed of a hawera, ta lines the grassa, Tá cheer na lat, it's spanny who or mara, agus it's spanny toward the branisa. Ye were wahar ye, beer na packy inish, agus a rule all mosh, amen. Shed a baha wera, ta lines the grassa, tá cheer na lat, it's spanny who or mara, agus it's spanny toward the branisa. Ye were wahar ye, beer na packy inish, agus a rule all mosh, amen. Shed a baha wera, ta lines the grassa, tá cheer na lat, it's spanny who or mara, agus it's spanny toward the branisa. Ye were wahar ye, beer na packy inish, agus a rule all mosh, amen. Arnyahar tarnyav, go ní fordanam, go dicket the reert, go nearta the heller and dalu, marniter nyav, toward the new arnyaran lehul, is Mohammed dar na veheni fein, is na likshen ni gahu, agus na heershen, amen. Crediamania an tahare la hoopte, crefjenier agus an talu, agus an east the crease and een works in our dearna. The go on Spurridge Neve, the rogo waroi, and olin posh fee hunches vi lodge, ag hees who a four boss agus a higher coup. The hui she's go heaven, go near trustler worry, when you issues nyav a ton a he, yeshje and a harre la hoopte. Regiment and Spurridge Neve, the name of each Catholic, Igaman a nave, my honest nabahi, is na shairi na horna, agus in Chanamshire, Cheerna, amen. Agus an anam and an ar, agus a big, agus an Spurridge Neve, agus a gurry to your trokra, that were nana, Shene, and God bless you all. Is there any questions anybody would like to ask me on this man? silence.
We all know the Wheaton House.
Well, what did he play? Because I don't know anything about him.
What instrument did he play?
He played a tin whistle,
Oh,
and
okay.
very badly he could play that. But what he did was he got the people, the man buried down the road by the name of O'Neill too, and he made him a sergeant in the police, and he brought the people around, and he noted down all the music, and he also footed the bill.
Oh,
He footed the bill.
That's the bottom line in all fields. But yeah, he spent $16,000, according to this woman by the name of Teresa Gary that I met after me coming here in the late 50s. She knew him quite well, and she knew his daughters. And she told me that he spent $16,000 on his collecting books and writing the books, and he never got a penny out of it.
shouting a dram for the people he's getting the music from.
Yeah.
And even it was too dear for them in Ireland. So that's one sad thing about it. But some of the stuff did get back there, all right, yes.
What initially got him started with the collecting? He just loved the music, and how did he get it from everywhere? How did he go about it? What started him on
I
that?
can't hear you now.
What started him on the quest to find the music, and how did he get it from everywhere? He was a police chief. How did this come about?
How did it come about? What started him
Huh?
on it? What started him on the quest to do this?
What started him? Well, he had a love for music because he grew up back in Ireland with this music at the cross at a bridge, and he heard this music, and his mother was a great singer. She had all the Chanot songs, and this was a part of all our bringing ups in Ireland at the time. We had no radio or anything like that to all we had was the neighbours singing songs to us, and of course the fair day we had the guys coming in, the travelling people singing the songs. Margaret Barry, I remember her as a kid singing the best songs. You could hear her at the end of the town singing, and that's how she was the first. She was the first. Herself and Michael Norman was the first to start the folk scene in Ireland, and I seen making skits of them.
You saw what?
Doing skitting them,
Oh.
Imitating them?
imitating it.
You're translating.
So our music has come a long way, and thanks to this man here for doing it for us. He collected 3,400 pieces of our music. And only for that, a lot of these tunes would have gone to the graves out here, would have been buried with them.
How did he track them down? How did he find the musicians?
How did he find the musicians and
Well, he
track
put
them
them
down?
on the police force.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, I understand.
It was patronage. You play, you got a job. Especially your name was Pat.
And this is his great.
And that's his great-great-grandson, John.
So he's going to talk now.
He is, yeah.
Thank you.
John, yeah, would you say a few words about your great-great and your connection to them? And
Yeah, Francis, I mean, the whole purpose of recording all this music was so that it won't be forgotten, so that it will be played by others for all that were interested. And I think he'd be really gratified to see all these people that are still following Irish music, are enthusiasts of it. Kevin, you've done more than I can possibly give you thanks for with in relation to the Irish music, but this was the point of it, was to play the music and to celebrate and preserve this part of Irish culture that would have otherwise been completely lost. So, I mean, I think that this is just a a triumph that just a little later than when his investment was a little long in the payoff.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to go in there as well too.
Yes,
Maybe
it is
would you guys
now
want to go? You
unlocked.
have it in there first and have a
Just-
look, and then we'll go in there afterwards.
Could you tell us a little bit about who's in there?
What's that?
Okay. There are a number of family members that all of the O'Neill boys died at young ages. Rogers, who I believe the mausoleum was actually built for, was the last son, and actually music was banned in the house when he died. So all the descendants of O'Neill were all traced through the daughters. His last daughter, May O'Neill, who is in here, she died at the ripe age of 102.
Wow.
Generally speaking, the O'Neill side of the family is very long-lived. I mean, he was 88, I think, 89 when he died, and that was in 1936, so it was unusually long. And I mean, you'll see a number of the dates on there where you start going like, oh, these people just I mean, they apparently know how to live, because I mean, they lasted a lot longer than average. Yeah, there are.
Are all the kids inside?
No, not all of them. And there is one that has a spot in here, but he's not actually in there. He died on D-Day. So he is buried in France.
And there's a couple that are buried at the north side too, in the cemetery, right near
Right.
the lake in Rogers Park.
Yeah,
Park,
Cavalry
yeah.
Cemetery.
Diphtheria.
But there are certain spots that have been claimed in the mausoleum for them. So I think there's basically about 2 spots left. And I'm pretty sure they've already been spoken for.
Recently, the one down in Mississippi,
Mary Wade.
Mary Wade.
Yeah, that was a few years ago at this point, but yes, she was just another one of the. It was the granddaughter, or no? Sorry, I'm trying to remember because it gets a little long. But she was the granddaughter of O'Neill's.
Yes.
And
Well, I knew Anna. I had dinner with her one time some years ago. She was, I think, in her late 90s at that time.
yes, Mary Wade, when she died, she was 98.
98.
So I mean, it just once again.
Are his
But-
papers kept anywhere?
Well, actually, yes. My mother holds on to the papers. We have a few copies of the original book in the original brown paper wrappings.
Wow.
There are a few different pieces of memorabilia. The chief's batons when he was chief of police and chief of inspectors. Unfortunately, I was sharing with a couple of you that my little brother and I played swords with those when we were real little. It's not the best of ideas. But they are still in fine shape at my mother's house in the city. So there are a few plates that we've recovered from the printing of the book. These were just things that we actually received from May O'Neill when she passed.
Are the Irish language ones or?
Well, the dual titles. I mean, I haven't opened any of them, but they're still wrapped up to preserve them. The books are 100 years old at this point and still in their original wrappings.
Wow.
I think we've got 5 of those left, and those will be donated to very special people for their achievements with Irish music, I suppose.
Cool.
But let's open this up, let you take a look.
And then afterwards, we'll play a couple of tunes with Kevin.
Yeah, I'd like Mary Bergen to play a lament for him.
Oh yeah, Mary, would you?
yeah, we'll do that. We'll sing him.
From Ireland always.
Yeah, we go up there. Please.
Okay.
He did play the tin whistle. That was his
And flute too, I think, right, Kevin? A little bit.
rarely but the tin whistle. I had his tin whistle,
Wow.
so I did.
Yes.
But I gave it to some individual on the boat going to Ireland in 1960, and that was the last I've seen it. I got it from Tracy Geary, actually. Could you play it?
I play Thomas McCullis on Easter May.
We're going to start off with a couple of, well, at least a song march from 1798 that these young musicians know, called Roddy McCorley.
Thank
somebody was asking about Francis O'Neill getting tunes for people, and he hired a lot of people as cops if they could play the uilleann pipes or fiddle or knew a bit of something. But he also went after everybody for tunes, including criminals and petty criminals. And this particular hornpipe he got from a young thieving man, a young man about 16 or 17 named Georgie West.
Yes,
And,
I came across him. He was one of the Black Donnellys. He taught one of the Black Donnellys up in Canada. The notorious. He was a fiddler. He came down here. He had
So Georgie West led on to both a life of crime, advanced crime, and he kept playing the fiddle apparently. But at one point, O'Neill writes that he went with Pat Mahoney and James O'Neill. They found this man named O'Malley who knew where this Georgie West was. So they showed up on the West Side tenement, and West was, whoa, you know, the police chief of Chicago was here. And he said, "Are you going to arrest me?" And he said, "Only if you give us bad tunes." And so one of the tunes was the Boys of Blue Hill hornpipe. There were a couple of them that are tribute to him. One is the Miller of Glen Mar too, but let's play the Boys of Blue Hill. I know most of those people know it. All right, Mary, count us in. One last tune, Sean. What do you think?
Maybe Chief O'Neill's favorite?
Oh yeah. Was it his favorite?
I don't know. I don't know why he would have written it as that otherwise, but he must have liked it all right.
So it's funny when you look at the book. If you ever seen it, they when a lot of the tunes are attributed to various people that they got from. So you see a lot of names quite a bit. But the second biggest one is James O'Neill, and the first biggest one is himself, Francis O'Neill. And there's, I mean, half of the tunes, seemingly I think part of the thing that when he met James O'Neill, that was like all of a sudden getting an iPhone or something with a voice memo. Like here was this guy, and he could just think of bits of things and go, write it down. And then he would write it down and boom, you know. It must have been a very exciting time for that man, you know, like all this stuff and he's preserving it. But we'll finish up playing with another hornpipe that in the book is called Chief O'Neill's Favorite. And at Chief's on the north side, there's the picture of him kind of looking sternly at everybody. And if you look at the music page, it's on there. So There you go. And then after we're done, we'll wander in there and look, and maybe Kevin and John, if you want to go in there first, and then we'll all kind of go in there, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay?
Thank you again for coming to this mausoleum. I've been coming here since 1966. How I got to know about this place, I must tell you before we go into this mausoleum. A man by the name of Barry O'Neill, in 1966, he got a grant from the Library of Congress to look up O'Neill and to write down what was about him. For the simple reason that there was nothing pertaining to O'Neill in the Library of Congress, and only for John F. Kennedy would be still second-class citizens. And it was Barry O'Neill got a contract from the Library of Congress with nothing pertaining to O'Neill on his music and his history until Barry O'Neill, and the Lord of he's a mathematician out in California now, and he went to the graves and he noted down everything. He'd done a thorough research on O'Neill and the people that gave him music, and that's all I have to say. So that's history now. John F. Kennedy put our name in this place and put our names in the book, because only for John F. Kennedy he wouldn't be in the Library of Congress. We were second-class citizens in this country until John F. Kennedy. And that's all I have to say, ladies and gentlemen. Come in and see the man that preserved our music, that preserved our heritage. For years to come, we have lost a lot of our language. The only thing we have to look after now is our music.
There you go.
So, thank you very much. And thank you, Sean Cleveland.
You're welcome, sir.
And thank you, Mary Bergen, all the way from Ireland. To pay tribute to this.
And John, thank you.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll play the quick chord back, and then
Okay.
we'll do it. Yeah, right. Ready? Da da dee da da. 1, 2, 3.
Woo! How does it say? Francis O'Neill, January 2036. And that's who's beside him? Anna Rogers.
Anna Rogers O'Neill. She came from the County Clare.
Who was Crowe? Daniel Crowe.
You were in-law.
Oh, okay. Mary O'Neill. Is that a daughter?
That was her daughter, yeah. No, Mary O'Neill, she was married to Philip Rooney.
All right.
She might have been born in Ireland.
Sister? Don't worry, I don't do anything bad with these pictures. I only do nice things.
Mother of her? Mother of her, maybe. That would figure. Remarried.